teaching people how to use their head. The point is that in order to use your head, you have to go out of your mind.
To think for yourself and question authority.
You want to reclaim your mind and get it out of the hands of the cultural engineers who want to turn you into a half-baked moron consuming all this trash that's being manufactured out of the bones of a dying world.
Welcome to the Free Your Effin' Mind show. I'm your host, Comedian Jonesy. As a comedian, I can't always express what really makes me angry on stage through the stand-up comedy format, so occasionally I like to just get on and rant on a podcast or a video and express those things that don't really translate well to the stage because maybe I'm too angry about them. So that's what this show's about. It's also, it's what I hope is it's a message to you to empower you to sort of take your life into your own hands and be a strong individual and don't rely on the culture and government to for your own happiness and for your own support, to create your own culture, create your own road show. This is about your friends, your orgasms, your art, your love. I mean, let's be real here. So let's start with May Day, which we recently had May Day, and people marched all over the country. And I don't know about you, where you are. I'm in Los Angeles, and it was pretty crazy over here. Somebody burned an American flag during the Los Angeles march, and so that was an issue. He was arrested, as he probably should be. It was about 25. I think there was like 25 people arrested in Portland. People were protesting Trump's first 100 days in office. There was a lot of workers getting together to protest as well. This is a historical day as far as getting workers out. It began as the history of May Day, and I'll put like a link to this because I did a little bit of research. It began as a pagan celebration. And then in the 1880s, it turned into labor marches and the International Workers' Day, as at that time, workers were fighting really bad, what was factory conditions, if you remember your history. And so since then, it's kind of been a day for a little bit of an uprising, which I like. If there's one thing that Trump has done is united groups that feel oppressed, and they all came out on May Day. I mean, minorities, gays, workers of various sorts. There was arrests, there was bloodshed. Even in Portland, there was fires and vandalism. And I mean, this is what happens when people feel like that the policies put in place by our leaders don't work for them. They get a little rowdy. And they take to the streets at every opportunity, and I think that's great. I love to see that. As kind of an anarchist myself, in a way, I feel like, yes, take to the streets and, let your voice be heard. Some people think that my penchant for violent expression is a little over the top sometimes. But, hey, man, I feel like sometimes that's necessary. Now, I know there's destruction of private property and all of this stuff, but, I feel like these are small prices to pay if we can sort of retune the culture, Like, if we can make this a paradise, isn't it worth, like, a Best Buy front window and a couple bodegas burned down? I mean, I feel like it's worth it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying killing people or, beheading some poor lady's dog. I'm saying, if you light a few fires and you flip some cars over, in the end, if we have like a better society, it's kind of worth it. I mean, let's be real. Real change, honestly, doesn't happen until the masses, show up at the White House steps and demand this fella's head. And I wish that would happen. We do it on a smaller scale. We think we're doing good things, but we're really only getting together in the tens of thousands, and it's really not enough. And yeah, we burn a couple things and flip cars, and people freak out, and 25 people get arrested, and we all freak out. But listen, if you know your history, that is nothing. And that's not gonna really have as big of an impact as you think. I mean, of course, social media goes bananas, but if you really want impact, you really got to come together, people, and do something crazy, more than just flip cars, man. We got to go. You don't like your leader? Like, you got to do what in 1979 in Iran, the Shah, who was somebody that the people uprose against. Is that a word? Uprose. 10% of the population at that time, almost 8 million people marched in Iran to this guy's, to this leader's home, and we're like, we want your head. And he had to flee the country. That is successful. That's what needs to be done. You know, I'm not talking 100,000. I'm talking 10% of the population. What's the population of the U.S.? 320 million? 32 million people. You know, this is what it's going to take. 32 million people going to Washington, standing outside, and demanding this guy's head. That's what it's going to take. Flipping a few cars and 25 people arrested, that is nothing, folks. You got to really kick it up a notch. 32 million people demanding his head. Of course, he won't be at the White House because he'll probably be golfing somewhere. But you get my drift. You know, you want to come at him like that. You know, real change doesn't happen until you get up to that guy's doorstep and you make him run away in a helicopter. That's when real change happens. And I would love to see that. So yeah, May Day, yay. Anytime people get together and go, fuck this place, I'm like all about it. I'm all about it. So I put a link to that description as well if you want to read about the history of May Day. It's pretty interesting. And for an encouraging story, I came across this this story about a Chinese man who just really, man, I just love this guy. I want to meet him. He spent 36 years carving a 10-kilometer ditch to bring water to his drought-stricken village. Isn't that amazing? 36 years carving out a 10-millimeter ditch to bring water to his village. Why? Probably because his government wouldn't fund it, because governments suck balls. That's probably why, you know? And this is what I'm talking about by DIY and taking your world in your own hand. Oh, yeah, government, you're not going to bring water to my village? Well, fuck you. I'm picking up a shovel. And that's right, my wife is too. Hey, honey, get off the couch and help me dig dig through this mountain, all right? That's what needs to be done sometimes, okay? I'm talking about not relying on government. If you sit around for a handout, you know, and just reading headlines today, today's like May 3rd or some shit, the government got rid of Obamacare, installed a new health care. I haven't looked at the details yet, but it looks like, you know, over half of the people who now have health care will lose it. This is what happens when you entrust the government for your livelihood. This is what they do. They fuck it up, okay? And so this guy lives in a village where the government probably fucked it up. So he took it upon himself to dig a goddamn ditch. And fucking hallelujah to this dude. Did I just say hallelujah? I never do that. Like this is like a black church or something. His name is Huang Dafa. He's now 82 years old. He cut into the mountainside cliffs of Kawanga within China's Jishu province using hand tools, 10 kilometers, hand tools. Took him 36 years. He started in 1959, right? And then like it took him like after like a decade, he kind of failed. And so listen to what he did. He stopped construction and then studied engineering for a few years to re-up his skills. How about that? Dude's digging a ditch. He's like, God damn, this has got to be a better way. He stops building the ditch, okay, and then he studies engineering and then gets back on the mountain with his little shovel, with his little fucking, you know, Shawshank Redemption spoon, starts digging through the mountainside. This guy is fucking the epitome of individualism and taking your shit into your own hands. This guy's like Henry David Thoreau of China, although Henry David Thoreau didn't do that much work. He fucking put a couple logs together in the forest and then lived there. But you get what I'm saying. This is about saying, fuck you, government. You're not going to bring water to my village. I'm going to do it myself. His irrigation ditch channel cut into a mountain face that now supplies, listen to this, 1,200 people in his own small village with water and 3 other towns that just happen to be along the 10-kilometer channel. His village can now grow more than 400,000 kilograms of rice every year. And to sweeten his success, the town now has electricity and a new road which came due to his efforts. How about that? He even made a fucking road because the government wouldn't do it. This guy's a hero. Am I out of focus here? Okay, let me get this together. I love stories like this, by the way. I just think they're fucking fantastic. The more people that get out there in the streets and do for themselves, this is the better. You can't wait around for a handout, man. You can't wait around for the government to heal you. You can't wait around for the government to, ensure that your family has safety. You got to do this shit yourself, man. Because you know what? The government doesn't care about you. Does not care about you. They care about first of all, politicians, they care first and foremost of keeping their position in their hierarchy. And secondly, making sure their friends stay in the hierarchy. Thirdly, then maybe help the people. The people are probably third or below. And so this guy is amazing. And I put a link to that as well, this article, so you can read about this guy. I don't know. I don't think he has Facebook or anything, so you can't really reach out to him. I wish he did, because I would like to fucking just thank this dude for being a boss, man. And now on to the title of this episode is Don't Go to College. That's right. I'm saying don't go to college. I'm saying it. I'm fucking doing a whole show about why you shouldn't go to college, or why you shouldn't let your kids go to college if you're of that age. So I went to college and I completely regret it. I have nothing to show for it except for over $30,000 in student loans that I struggle to pay. I recently have been put on with extra effort. Put on income-based payment plan so that I can afford to pay this thing. Otherwise, I'd have to pretty much fucking be homeless to pay this thing. I don't know when I'm going to be able to pay it. I mean, I can barely pay the interest. Isn't that fucked up? And this is one of the biggest scams hurled at us by our culture when we're young. The idea that you have to go to college. This is what you do. Everybody, graduate high school, go to college, get married, have some kids, buy shit. I mean, these are the illusions that are pressed upon us by culture. In fact, in every high school, there's a fucking dumbass called a guidance counselor. If you're a guidance counselor, I apologize. Maybe you're not a dumbass. Maybe you're actually an enlightened advisor. I don't think they exist, but maybe you're that one. So I don't want to completely generalize. But for the most part, this person's paid, $32,000 a year to sit in a small room and to tell everybody when they're a junior, hey, so you're thinking about going to college, right? Let's talk about what college you should apply for. I mean, this is what this person's job is. There's a person like that installed in every high school all across the U.S. Paid $30,000 a year to sit down with us and tell us, you're going to college, right? Let's talk about that, And of course, I bought into it. And, I first worked for a few years when I first got out of high school because I couldn't afford to go to college. Silly me. Couldn't afford, so I worked for a little bit, saved up some money, and then on that money on top of loans was able to kind of finance my way through on my own without help from my parents whatsoever, which if your parents paid for your college, fuck you, and I'll just move. I'm jealous of you. All those kids that I went to college with, their parents paid for it. Like, those kids were the fucking worst, first of all. Didn't appreciate their college education. I actually tried because I was paying for it myself. I was like, going to class on time, not missing class. I'm like, I'm paying for this shit. I'm fucking going. The rise of tuition has been an issue. In 2005, the average tuition $17,000 a year approximately. I'm finding articles that say it's a range. They're saying, 30, 35. I mean, I'm reading as high as $44,000 a year, which is fucking crazy. That is crazy for a higher education. That is just a total ripoff. 4 years, what is that? It's like almost $200,000. You could buy a fucking house for the cost of a 4-year education. I mean, that is outrageous. Fucking outrageous. The federal government has backed over $1 trillion in student loans. That's right, $1 trillion, bro. That is the student loan debt is the equivalent of all the mortgages, auto loans, and credit card debt in the U.S. combined. That's insane. That is all of those combined. $1 trillion. Is that fucking bananas? The average graduate has a loan debt of $30,000. That's me. So I guess that's average. I thought it was, but that's average. That means half of us have more than that. I know people that owe 6 figures because they went to medical school or to be a lawyer or whatever. That's crazy. That's crazy. Do you imagine the pressure of graduating with $100,000 just hanging over your fucking head? I don't know how they deal with it. Okay. Now, here's some, the federal government's backing all of this. And let me tell you something. You don't want to be in debt to the government. You just don't. I mean, you just don't want to be in debt to the government. My show, of course, is not relying on government or cultural institutions. So, of course, I'm going to have this message. Don't rely on the government. You don't want to be in debt to the government for anything, okay? You want to be able to get up and walk away. If you have to, go to Costa Rica. Fucking just get out of here if you have to. But you don't want to, you know? And what's sad is the government makes a profit off of this shit. You know what I mean? I mean, it's one, we could sit here and argue, okay, should higher education be free? In some countries, it is. Here, it's not. Okay, fine, it's not free. Should the government be profiting off loaning us money to get a higher education? That's a whole other argument, and that's fucked up. That's fucked up that they get a profit off it. Of course, they're probably not making a profit because so many students are defaulting on their loans, but their aim is to make a profit. They charge interest on the fucking... So we could argue, you probably should give us an education for free. Don't you want your populace educated? You want an educated culture. You want an educated population, don't you? You want us to all to, you know, take our bootstraps and get up there and... So, okay, you're going to charge? Okay, whatever. You give us a loan. Oh, that's a little bit of help. Make a profit off us. Fuck yourself, government. Fuck yourselves. 85% of college grads will return home jobless. That's a stat that raises eyebrows, right? I mean, I fucking returned home somewhat jobless. I actually worked part-time in the industry that I worked for before I went to school because it was the only place that would fucking take me. Because I had experience there, which is more valuable than a college degree in many cases. You know, hey, I had worked 3 years in this industry. I had experience, so of course they take me. But if I take my degree and go apply in the field, they're like, well, you don't have experience in this. Well, you know, why don't you go intern, work for free for 2 years? Oh, great. How am I going to pay that $30,000 back if I'm working for free for 2 years? Oh, Jesus. Anyways, this is just my issue. I mean, so you have... I'm not going to say it's completely useless to go to college. If you have a very specific degree that you need to get from a university, I'm talking like engineering, science, medicine, or law. You know, those things, you have to go. You got to go. I mean, you don't have a choice. But for the shit, like I got a degree in sociology. I might as well take a shit on that degree right now. It is fucking useless with sociology. I mean, you got to be kidding me. So anything like that, any liberal arts or degrees like gender studies, feminist theory, philosophy, anthropology, the fine arts, liberal arts, music, history, art history, communications, theater. All this is all, these degrees are bullshit. They're all bullshit degrees. Okay? You can't get out there and make a living with degrees like this. I'm generalizing, but this is fucking true. You can go get your PhDs in these areas and then teach on the college level and then perpetuate the fucking scam that's going on in this country. But please don't do that, all right? Be a solution to the problem. Don't add, fuel to the flames here. And, so what, for the most part, in my opinion, college is just, it's a fucking 4-year party. I mean, let's be real here. This is a generalization, but it's a fucking 4-year party that reinforces laziness and being rewarded for doing very little. I mean, you don't have to go to class and then just take the fucking midterm in some cases. No, don't show up for class. Just ace the midterm and you're fucking fine. You know how many people I know never went to class and they just partied the whole fucking time. I mean, it's a joke, man. It's just like this institution for, late teens babysitting. So why not to go? I put together a little list here of why not to go, and I'm going to post some links to articles too that I went through. I found it a fascinating subject, and I found a lot was written on it, and I went through it, and I try to verify my sources and stuff before I bring this shit to the podcast. So one, why not to go to college? Number one, success equaling education is an illusion. The idea that success is education is a fucking total illusion. It's old school mentality. The university system has sold us an illusion of self-application. Students have been told that the magic ticket to a good life is go to college, you'll get a good job, guaranteed, and all your dreams will come true. This is false. This is a fucking illusion, okay? Success has almost nothing to do with education. Success is about personal development, self-control, integrity, communication skills, relationships, boatloads of uncontainable passion. And most importantly, successful people know we learn by doing, not just learning to do so. And if college teaches you anything, it's that you're not doing shit, all right? You're just learning about doing, but you ain't doing nothing. With exception of the occasional internship that they can provide through the college. But you can get internships on your own. You don't need to go through a college. And a lot of places they take outside applications for that kind of shit. Number 2, starting a career with debt sucks balls. Yeah, I wrote that one. Can you tell? It's got sucks balls in it. Over 40 years, college costs have increased 1,000%, far surpassing the rate of inflation. Yeah, of course. Starting a career with debt. I just told you the average loan debt, $30,000. I mean, to just graduate with a $30,000 bill. To have a $30,000 loan bill when you walk out of school is daunting. I mean, I don't mind having a $30,000 loan if I'm driving a Mercedes. Shit, yeah, son. Give me that $30,000 car. That's something I can see right in front of my face and enjoy in the moment. The degree? Fuck it. I might as well burn mine. It's useless. Sociology? God, I wish somebody told me back then that I was going to try to be a comedian. Number 3, job opportunity. This is a myth as well, that you more job opportunity for it's becoming a myth. Because I'm reading about a new generation of employers. Employers, why did I say it like that? So I'm reading about a new generation of employers that are hiring more based on experience and portfolio rather than a degree. This is the new mindset. Managers are not hiring that way anymore with the degree. It's a portfolio, it's experience, and then in the interview, it's personality. What's it like to be around this person? This is what they're hiring on. That piece of paper's fucking garbage at that point. You know what I mean? So that's a myth. You know? You're better off as far as job opportunities go, interning for 2 years or just working for 2 to 4 years in the field that you want to get into at the ground floor, whatever it is. You want to be in the entertainment industry, you go to a talent agency, you work the fucking mailroom for a year, then you're a receptionist for a year, then you're a baby agent or something. You become a receptionist, do the grunt work at the lowest floor at an organization in the field that you want to get into, right? And you're making a little bit of money. So what? A little bit of money. It's better than fucking going in debt $150K. But you're also getting that experience and you're networking at the same time in your industry. There's so many better ways to spend your time, man. I mean, rather than getting the 4-year degree. Okay, number 4, college doesn't prepare you for shit. I mean, this is just a whole running theme here. College doesn't prepare you for shit. I agree. Doesn't teach you to get up early. Doesn't teach you to dress for success. Doesn't teach you to dress up and get ready for business. You know, it doesn't prep you for the real world at all. I mean, unless your real world is sleeping till 10 a.m. and fucking getting drunk every night and trying to fuck 20-year-olds. I mean, then yeah, it prepares you for that shit. But other than that, it doesn't prepare you for that. Doesn't prepare you. Shit, man. I came out of college. I didn't even know how to make my own coffee. And that's something you need in the workforce. You need to know how to make your own coffee. Helicopters are flying overhead. They're going to arrest me because I was perpetrating anarchy on my podcast. Okay, number 5. Your degree could soon be obsolete. Oh my God, isn't that fucking scary? That is scary. Especially if you're in the media or the tech industry. I mean, by the time the 5 years, 4 years, however long it takes you to get that degree, you come out. Dude, you got to relearn that shit all over again anyways. This shit is changing so quickly. So fuck that. That's crazy. Number 6, it's a waste of time and life is short. Spending 4 to 5 years on a degree when the world is changing at the speed of light is stupid. Yeah, that's what I wrote. A waste of time. Completely a waste of time. You could do so many other things. You could go, fuck, man. Take your credit card, and instead of spending $30,000 a year on a piece of shit degree, go spend $10,000 in South America exploring ancient ruins and hitchhiking with the Mayans and learning about life and sort of educating yourself with real life experience. This is just my suggestion. This is what I would have done if I could have done it all over again. Shit, man. I would have been like, oh yeah, you guys are going where you going? Dartmouth? Yeah? Where am I going? I'm going to the Nazca lines. I'm going to go climb some fucking pyramids. Take ayahuasca in the jungle and fuck some Peruvians. So bye-bye. Who's going to be more educated at the end of this year? Yeah, this guy right here. That's what I would do. Yeah, don't waste your time with that shit. Get some real life experience. You're better off going to the library. You know, you're better off going to the library and reading shit on your own and then at night bartending at a swingers club. You know, you'll learn more about life that way than you will with a degree. Start a business with your time. Start a fucking business. Create an app. You know, I don't know what you kids do. Fucking get on the technology game and create a fucking app. You know, maybe your first app doesn't make any money, but maybe your 10th app makes you $5 million. Wasn't that time better spent? Yeah, it was. Educate yourself. Start a business. Start a brand. Go volunteer and help people in third world countries that need it. How much more valuable is that than wasting your time fucking in a dorm room at Princeton or whatever? Princeton's a pretty good school, though. Let's pick a shitty school. I don't fucking know. Rutgers, let's say. Fuck New Jersey. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I always bang on New Jersey. They're great. So those are the reasons. There's more that I'm sure that you can think of. So let's ask ourselves this now. Why do we have this mindset about college? Like, where does this come from, that going to college is a good thing that we should all do? Where does this idea come from? I think we need to question where these ideas come from in order to empower ourselves. If you can see where the ideas are coming from, if you can see where the social pressure emerges from, then it has less power over you. And I'm just getting, at my age, just learning about these social forces, and I'm discovering new ones all the time. And that's great, because when you can see what influences your behavior, you can then decide for yourself if you want to continue this behavior, because you can see where it comes from. Okay, you can see that this isn't a want that I really have. Like, going to college really wasn't a thing I wanted. I was sold the idea that I would want it with flashy PR, and like I said, some dude in a fucking in a tie and khakis in my school who told me, "Hey, go somewhere, go to college." I was sold this idea. Now I see where it comes from. And so the more that you can see, the more of these cultural illusions that you can see, the less power they have over you. You can start making decisions completely autonomous, things that are really going to benefit your life in the long run, and not be fooled. So I looked up, where does this come from? And apparently, and this is just, there was an article I found that mentioned that the whole college thing is a scam. It's a PR blitz. It's propaganda. And it was an article in the HuffPost, and I just want to read like a paragraph from it. Now, granted, I was not able to, this fucking article, and I hate when they do this, they didn't have citations. And I always like to just pick articles that have citations, because we need to question our media and where we get our information. We have to make sure the sources are reliable. And so this doesn't have it. But I kind of can see where they're coming from, and I feel like it's true. I did some research. I couldn't find anything on it, but I just want you to hear this. Okay, the original intent of higher education was to create a workforce that exercised their brains to think bigger and brighter so they could expand their minds, blah, blah, blah. In the 70s, this all changed. The 1970s in America, this changed. The college system went on a massive PR blitz to propagandize an entire generation into believing that college would provide high-level job opportunities. And it did at the time. Universities first started by infiltrating high schools, paying off school districts to post their posters of two people side by side at college, one of which was a pudgy blue-collar worker next to a slim and trim guy in a business suit. You'd often see taglines such as, "Which guy do you want to be?" "Yeah, you want to be the guy with the job, the college guy." These PR ads created an economic boom. People started enrolling in college in droves, and the system was working, and people were actually getting high-level corporate gigs they were promised. However, they pushed the PR campaign way too far, and now the next generation has raced to obtain their college degree at a much higher than previous rate than other generations. Since there was a proven track record of success, parents instilled the value of college in their children, thinking they would achieve the same success they did. But unfortunately, Wall Street was watching. Wall Street, the federal government, and the college system ganged up and skyrocketed the cost of tuition to record highs. This was easy to do because not only did they have posters blanketing entire high schools showing kids what a loser they would be if they didn't go to college, they also had mom and dad at home telling them the same thing. So what was the result? This brings us to the next point. Student loans, then. $1 trillion. So this was all as a result of PR campaigns that are still going on today. And they mentioned our parents, too. Yeah. In my case, my parents did not go to college and had no opinion on college. They were uneducated people for the most part, and they didn't push that on me at all. I was taken in by my peers and the fucking guidance counselor, basically. And I'm sure subliminally through advertising that I saw too. It's like posters at school and commercials and shit. So yeah, I was taken in by it. And so I wasn't able to corroborate that whole 1970s PR blitz. I couldn't find anything online, that backed that up. But that makes sense to me. I tend to, I'm leaning toward that is true enough. Okay. But there's other things. If you haven't heard of it, the Career Education Colleges and Universities, or the CECU. This is a lobbyist group. Okay. This is and I looked up the CECU. This is just another force behind the scenes going on. Over the past 5 years, CECU has spent about $3.5 million lobbying on behalf of its more than 600 member institutions, the majority of which are for-profit colleges. So the for-profit colleges have lobbyists. That's what that means. That's what the CECU is. So that's also going on behind the scenes. The CECU is influencing the Department of Education, influencing policy put out by the Department of Education. And you can find articles about this, and I will link to them. I'm linking to also an article of a member of the Department of Public Education that had to resign because they found that this person worked for the CECU. And they allude in the article that this isn't the first time somebody from the CECU works for the Department of Education. So they're in cahoots. The Department of Education is supposed to be in our best interests. This is an institution created via our tax dollars to help the people. You understand? This is what I'm talking about by not relying on our institutions. They're fucking in the pockets of these special interest groups. They're in the pockets of lobbyists. Their policies are influenced by lobbyists. Their policies are not influenced by the true needs of the fucking people, is what I'm saying. And so, I mean, if you're the Department of Education, you shouldn't even be speaking to for-profit colleges on that kind of level. It's so fucking whacked. These are the forces behind all of this, and this is why I'm never going to pay back my student loan. They can fuck off. I'm just kidding. I'll pay it back. Someday, federal government, someday. I actually would consider it a big win if I died and still owed them $30,000. I'd be like, that's a big win. Yeah, so I'm posting to articles in there. There's another article that talks about campaign contributions from nonprofit college industry to legislatures, okay? And they lean on former Capitol Hill colleagues to lean on the White House to water down rules such as 2011's, what is this? Gainful employment rule, which you can read about that. That was, the evidence is in there. So look, I don't even want to get into that. You can read upon that for yourself. You can find out the ways in which lobbyists influence policy that then trickles down and affects the rest of us that are trying to just get a fucking affordable education these days, which is virtually impossible. Okay, so what to do instead? Jonesy, you're like, Jonesy, what do we do? Well, educate yourself. I've mentioned in here the things that you can do, but educate yourself. Teach yourself a skill, okay? Build yourself a business or a brand, something that's going to be valuable to you in the future. You can still do this while living with your parents. Go to a trade school. Learn a trade. There'll always be the need for trades, intern somewhere. All of these things. I've alluded to all of these things and the benefits of them throughout this whole show. Just to sum it up, you cannot wait for government to help you, okay? Education in the U.S., at least higher education, is not going to be free or affordable. Loan forgiveness is a fucking pipe dream. If you think the government's just going to cross off $1 trillion in debt, you're fucking mistaken. You're just mistaken, okay? They're not going to do it. So the best thing to do is to, in my opinion, not go to college and to convince your kids to get a skill or, begin working in an industry and at the ground floor that they have a mild interest in, if that means the mailroom of a factory, whatever the fuck it is, you got a kid who's obsessed with technology, get a job at Apple, okay, in the store first, or move to China and work in their factories. No, I'm just kidding. But you get the drift. You get a foot in the door. You build relationships that way. And you also don't make the mistake of thinking you want to get into an industry, and then when you get a taste of it, you realize, oh, I hate that. Now, if you did that right out of the gate, okay, you kind of stepped in right out of high school, you kind of got a taste of the industry by going in at the bottom floor, and you could see from an insider standpoint what the industry is about, what it's like to work there, what's the office temperature. You can kind of get a gauge on if this is something you want to do. And you didn't have to spend $100,000 to find that out. I mean, imagine coming out with a degree for something that you then, when you get into it, you realize, holy fuck, I don't like anthropology at all. I don't like dirt. I don't like digging. Shit. What did I do? Well, fucking now you got to pay $120,000. Figure it out, bro. So yeah, that's the end of the episode, I guess. If you have any questions or comments about that, I know people have been, and I got a comment last week to my email, which is funnyjones@gmail.com. Someone reached out to me and said I was an idiot for saying we shouldn't go to Mars, and I appreciate that. Any sort of comments are welcome. But just to defend myself about the Mars thing, this person was like, "We're fucking up Earth. We need another place to go." Well, here's the other plan, asshole. Use all the resources that we have to maybe revitalizing the Earth that we're walking on right now. It's a little bit easier than terraforming an entire fucking hostile environment, a light year away, or wherever how fucking far it is. Yeah, it's a lot easier than that. Just kind of, you've heard that phrase, clean up your own backyard before you start knocking on your neighbor's door? Yeah, that's what we need to do here. And we have the resources to do it. We just choose not to. So, yes, in a perfect world, fuck Mars, clean up this place, make this place habitable, and we won't need a place to go to survive. We can actually do it here. But, it'll take until this place is fucking completely on fire before anybody will do that. So, thanks for reaching out to me. I hate to call you an asshole, but you are. Feel free, you other assholes, to email me, funnyjones@gmail.com. Say that I suck. Say that you don't agree with me. Say that I'm stupid for telling you not to go to college. Whatever you want. I don't give a shit. Ask me a question. Send me a topic you want me to discuss. Anything. It's all welcome. Follow me on the social medias at funnyjones for Twitter and Instagram. Comedian Jonesy on Facebook, and my website is jonesy.com. If you feel like you want to buy me a beer because I'm a broke-ass comedian and I don't get paid to do this, you can go to my Patreon site and send me some money for coffee or a beer. It's Patreon, patreon.com/funnyjones, and you can support me there. Once again, thank you for listening to Free Your Effing Mind with Jonesy. I really appreciate you as an audience, and if you're a fan, even more so.